Hello and welcome everyone. I'm really pleased to be here today and talk a little bit about sensors. In the next 15 minutes, I want to reflect about sensors, what they did in the past, and how sensors literally helped us to save lives. But I also want to look in the future and how we can use sensors to attack some of the challenges we are currently facing. So please join me on this journey. When I was preparing for this keynote, I was sitting on my desk, and just for fun, I will start counting the amount of sensors which are around me. In my smartwatch, in my smartphone, tablet, computer, earbuds, and so on. And I came up with a quite impressive number, and I'm pretty sure you will have the same experience when you do this exercise at home. So sensors are everywhere, and they help us in our daily life to live more comfortable. If you look at the lady sitting on the couch, maybe she's watching her favorite show on Netflix, and if someone talks to her, she just removes her earbud, talks to the person, and puts it back in. So there's no need to pause the video and start it again. The sensors in the earbuds will detect it and do it for her. If you look at the second picture, I'm not really sure if we can talk about comfort. Maybe for some people you have more comfort when you do your exercise, your workout with sensors, but it definitely helps you to track your exercise, to help you to get your calories in or out, get your steps in, and so on. And of course, in the car world, we have a lot of sensors helping here. But sensors can do more, way more. And I want to dive deeper into this a little bit. If you look at this picture, I really hope you will never see this in real life, because this means you are part of a serious accident and your airbag went off. But on the other hand, it also means you're still alive. And as a matter of fact, airbag sensors saved more than 50,000 lives as of 2017. And the airbag usually gets actuated by a device called accelerometer, where we measure the acceleration. And this was the first mass MEMS product we shipped to the automotive industry. And nowadays, if you buy a car, they all have airbags and makes your drive way safer. Another example is shown over here. You see an SUV. And I'm curious, how many people of you are driving an SUV? Please raise your hands. I see quite a number. So did you know that 25 years ago, SUVs were seen as the most unstable vehicles on the road? Why? Because SUVs have a very high center of gravity. This makes them very prone for rollover accidents, which are very bad. So what changed? Why are they now seen as safe cars, as family cars? We drive around safely. The industry implemented a system called Electronic Stability Control System. And this is mainly based on gyroscopes, which measure the rotation of your car, and accelerometers. So we are measuring the real movement of your car and compare it to the intent of the driver. If there's a mismatch, we know the car starts sliding. And then we can use the ABS braking system to break down certain wheels. Something even the best driver in the world cannot do, because you can break all wheels, but not certain wheels. And this was the big game changer. Now these cars are safe. And between 2010 and 2014, more than 4,000 lives are saved due to the system. And we have a 75% reduction on fatal single vehicle rollover based on the system. After the show, if you come back to your car, I really hope you don't see this picture. But on the other hand, it's also good to see it while your car is standing. Elena just talked about it. A safe system is a standing system, not operating system. But we, as a sensor community, we want a car to run. But it's even worse if you have a blowout when you drive on the highway, on highway speeds. Even worse if you're in Germany and you drive on the Autobahn without any speed limit. It's a really bad situation. So what we did as a community, we started to put in pressure sensors in each tire. And we constantly monitor the pressure in your tire, and we warn you if the tire pressure is too high or too low, or if you slowly lose the tire pressure while you are driving, and then you can pull over and fix the issue. So this leads to more than 600 saved lives per year in the US alone. And more than 30,000 accidents can be prevented and injuries due to the system. Speaking about pressure sensors and moving on to more consumer electronic fields. If you live in a large city and you enter a tall building, usually the GPS signal can track you. They go into this building, but they cannot know in which floor you are, because usually the reception of the GPS signal is not sufficient. And if you have an acute medical condition, like a stroke or a heart attack, it is really a matter of minutes, sometimes seconds, until you get a first help from a first responder. So if they arrive on the building, but they don't know if you're on the second floor, fourth floor, or 20th floor, it will maybe take a long time. So nowadays, we have all pressure sensors in our smartphones, and they are extremely accurate. So we can detect a change in height of 1 or 2 inches just by measuring the amount of air laying on top of the sensor, which is quite impressive. And these sensors can localize you vertically in the building and can inform the first responders in which floor are you in and help you faster. And the FCC estimated more than 10,000 lives are saved in the US alone just by having your pressure sensor. So to be safe, always have your smartphone with you and they can find you fast. A big challenge what we are facing as society is the aging of population. In 2035, 1.3 billion people will be of the age of 60 or older. This is roughly around 14% of the world population. It's around 20% in the US and even worse in Europe. Here we talk about 25%. So 1/4 of the population will be of the age 60 or older, and this puts a lot of strain and stress on the health system, on the retirement system, and we have to make sure that these people can live happily and safely at home as long as possible. And one issue here is fall and fall detection. If you age, your equilibrium system gets weaker, and we can now apply sensors on your body, accelerometers, gyroscopes, and they can predict how likely it is that you will fall in the next couple of days or weeks, because your body basically becomes a little bit wobbly. And if it happens, then we can inform your families, your relatives, or first responders. They will come and help you fast. And this is based on also on inertial sensors. Speaking a little bit about the future, so we saw already where we have sensors today in our cars. We will have them in the future also in our cars, even more if you talk about autonomous driving. We have them in the, let's say, well-being phase, which is not really FDA approved. But I also see that in the future we have more and more sensors really in the medical field. We have to find ways to detect rare and common diseases really early on. Rare diseases, because sometimes for a medical doctor it is very difficult to interpret your symptoms the right way if it's a rare disease. And also for common diseases, which we know, but these diseases are sometimes very good in covering themselves. You don't have any symptoms, and when you have symptoms, it can be already too late. For example, cancer is very, very sneaky in this way. And here it's not a matter of seconds or minutes, but it's a matter of weeks or months. The earlier detected, the earlier get treatment, the better it is. And the second point is also this topic about personalized treatment. Right now, we are basically getting all the same treatment when we have a certain disease. Maybe they ask you for your weight to give an indicator for the medication, but that's basically it. But your body, your disease act differently depending on the disease you have, depending on your body. Maybe it's a little bit of a stretch of an example, but just think about coffee. How coffee reacts to your body and to my body. I have friends that can drink coffee at 10 p.m. and at 11 they sleep like a baby. I can drink coffee maybe at 2 and then I sleep. If I drink it at 4, I cannot sleep. And the same is true for medicine, for medical treatments. So we have to really personalize it way more and more to keep the amount of drugs as low as possible, to keep the side effects as low as possible. Speaking about the future, we have another big challenge coming up. I talked about the aging of population, but also climate change, sustainability. We have to become a really sustainable society. If you lived here in California the past winter, you saw this crazy amount of storms rolling in all the time, which was really unprecedented. We had hail in Texas last week. We have this drought in the East Coast. The climate is changing and we have to react. And the same like in the pandemic. Climate change is not stopping at borders. They don't care. It's a worldwide thing and we have to attack it worldwide. And I want to talk a little bit about how sensors can also help us here. You remember this picture, the blowout? It's really bad. But I can also tell you, besides saving the almost 700 lives, which is the most important thing, it also helps you because we can save $500 million of gas. And this money stays in your pocket and this gas is not blown out in the environment. It's really a win-win situation. This is one of my favorite examples. Maybe it's hard to see, but you see here on this tree there's a little sensor node. And this sensor node has environmental sensors. And they can be used to basically measure if a wildfire starts. And it's not only that you see the temperature is rising because the wildfire is basically already underneath the tree. We see changes before. We see changes in the pressure, we see changes in the humidity. And with a sensor network which is spread around in the forest, we can predict where the fire started and in which direction it is moving. And this information is crucial for the firefighters to fight this fire early on before it gets out of control and really bad. This number here is also quite impressive. 20% of the global carbon emission are actually coming from wildfires. 20%. If we can deploy this kind of networks in the forest all over the world or in areas which are really prone to wildfire, which, by the way, it's getting more and more. It's really moving up from California, Oregon, now to Canada. And if we can reduce it by maybe 1 or 2 digits, this would already be a big help for the society. Food is another example. We live in the Western world, in a society where we have way more food than we can consume. We have very good advertisement. If you go to the supermarket, you're overwhelmed with good products. And this leads to the case that we usually buy more food than we can actually eat. And if you look at the entire life cycle of food, really from the agriculture, harvesting, up to us as end users, 1/3 of the world food production is going to waste. 1/3. And this is a really bad thing. And I'm also convinced we as a sensor society can help here. Back in the days, people used their common senses in combination with their nose, their smell, their taste, their eyes to decide if some food is still safe to eat or not. We kind of lost this capability, and now we trust a small little print on the package which is called expiration date. And they are usually very, very conservative because no one wants to get into trouble. And some people just look at the expiration date and just throw things away. We can use sensors which can smell if something is still good and safe to eat or not. We can remind you if you have certain products maybe hidden in your shelf, maybe hidden in your fridge, that they are about to expire. But we can also, in the food production, we can implement sensors to reduce this waste and also reduce significantly the amount of resources which are needed to produce all this food. As my last example, I want to talk about AI. We talked about before, Elena talked about it, and this is also a topic which is very close to my heart. With the release of ChatGPT end of last year, there was an explosion of interest in AI, not only from the experts, but from regular people. My family members reached out to me and said, hey, what is this ChatGPT thing? Why does it do such incredible things and how does it work? And I agree, it is incredible. And the sensor community asked the question, hey, do we still need sensors in the future? Or will it be replaced by AI? And I have a different perspective, and I want to share it with you. So I really believe sensors and AI will go hand in hand. We will use AI to develop better sensors in the future, to reduce our manufacturing life cycle, to development life cycle. And also if you think about ChatGPT or a foundational model which is underneath, if you want to fine-tune this model to your specific use case, you still need sensor data, so the model can learn what is going on and make the right prediction. Maybe, and hopefully, we need less data than before, because right now the data campaign costs a lot of resources, time and money to train a model, and this will be reduced significantly. But even when the model is deployed in the field, we still need sensors, because without sensors, the model doesn't know what's going on. And even if it's the smartest model in the world, it still needs input. Think about your brain. Your brain is incredibly capable, but we still need our sensors. And the same will be true for AI. So I'm not afraid of this future. I'm actually looking forward. There will be changes. There will be changes in job, but this is what we had in all kinds of revolutions in the past too. We have to adapt, and we have to benefit out of it. And this brings me to the end of my presentation. So I hope I could give you a little bit of insight how sensors helped us in the past and in the present to save lives, and what kind of challenging we are facing and how we can overcome this by using Sampler. Thank you very much.